Aloha loves, and welcome back to another collective energy reading with yours truly, Alicia Sunflower. This collective energy reading is for the end of 2020 eclipse season and the winter solstice. I'm really excited to share this reading with you all because this is such a powerful time. So much is happening right now. Definitely individually, collectively, astrologically, on all of these levels, we're going through so many shifts. And this end of 2020 eclipse season is here for it. It's here for these shifts. It's here to help us to really move through the completion of these shifts that we've been undergoing, that especially really started with the last eclipse season back in June. If you didn't catch it, I did a video on the beginning of the new Venus cycle and the eclipse season of June and July in my last collective energy reading video. So check that out for more details on what it is that we're building off of now, because what was started back in June was this uprising wave of love, this tsunami of source consciousness coming for the earth and coming for humanity to help lift us up and out of this paradigm of suffering that we've been in and into the reality of love, the reality of our highest hopes and our deepest dreams. So that really had this incredible push and beginning of a wave, and that's been a part of everything that we've been undergoing as a collective. All of the things that have happened around COVID and around the presidential election, so many different forms of atrocity, so many forms of uprising and revolutions and people protesting and saying they're not going to accept the way we're doing things anymore. There's been a huge shift in energy on the collective scale, and on the internal individual scale, we have all been having a lot of things coming up for us in this time of COVID and staying at home. We're doing a lot of deep work. We're doing a lot of deep diving and seeing what is our real alignment for being in the world. And that's been this conversation between Jupiter and Pluto and Saturn all year long in Capricorn. And part of the shift that's happening at this end of 2020 eclipse season and solstice is that both Jupiter and Saturn are moving into Aquarius, and they're conjunct on December 21st, the solstice. So that energy is a major culmination point and like exclamation mark and new shift in many ways to the two eclipses that precede it. So first we have the Gemini Lunar Eclipse and full moon happening on November 30th. And this eclipse is really opening us into choice point. Will we choose our higher growth? Or will we choose our old comforts from a wounded foundation and past? This is the point that we have a lot of power and energies of all kinds of cosmic origins to support us in choosing our higher growth and choosing our higher path. It is time for us to really allow ourselves the completion of this work that we've already been doing. Because many of us have been putting in a lot of soul work, a lot of heart healing, a lot of trauma healing, a lot of deconstruction and decolonization of our minds and ways of being on many levels. And we've been engaging in this in different degrees and in different ways, but it's a collective shift that we've all been doing this together. And so we already have so much skill. We have so much mana, so much power to be able to meet this time of choice point, shift, and change. It's all been a part of supporting us all this way, all along. It's really perfect like that, you know? There's also an energy really perfectly put here to help us to face our fears and to face the wounding of the feminine that we all carry, the ways that we've experienced emotional trauma and abuse and pain and sadness and grief, these ways that we have experienced deep emotional suffering. Those wounds are coming to the surface right now. You probably have already been feeling it. You're probably going to keep feeling it throughout this eclipse season. And all of that is a part of showing us the places where we have been making choices to continue to align and identify, attached to narratives and ways of being from that wounding. And that's not to put any kind of blame or shame on that. It's a part of it. We all have these attachments, and we've been growing in our awareness of them and releasing them over time, and we'll continue to do that. And this happens to be a potent portal to help us to go to the next level of doing that. We will need to make choices to rise up and out of the energies of wounding and of shame, pain, and abuse, and to allow ourselves to experience a quickening and a heightening of this uprising wave of love that has begun to sweep us off our feet this year in 2020, and definitely big shifts with that last eclipse season. It's time for us to allow those old stories to not define us anymore, to own them in truth, that they are what has happened, and they have helped to get us to where we are now and inform our whole perspective and all of our perspectives of reality. But we have also been transmuting those old perspectives. So this is a part of that, transmuting and letting go of the ways that we have still identified and thusly enacted and maintained these old identities of suffering. And these old identities of suffering deserve so much love and caring and compassion and kindness. But where we are going into our shared, collective, wondrous future is not a place where we need them anymore. And so this is a time to allow what is dead to die, so that we can allow the reborn energies of our truth to rise. What a magical, perfect time this is. And Gemini is here to support us in having fun with it, to be light and fun in our letting go, that this is a part of that ultimate alchemical transmutation. The more we can embrace our joy of what it is that we're bringing in, the more we can let go of what it is that no longer serves us with ease and grace. And then that becomes more joy, and we anchor that in. It's like the ultimate rebellious act for you to be in your joy and be in your love as you are with your healing. Many parts are painful, but there's always joy to be had and experienced as we reclaim the truth of who we are and of our own sacred and wondrous hearts. So let go of the illusions of unworthiness. You are a supreme and beloved, divine, blessed child of the source that has created us all with such endearing and infinite loving kindness and wisdom beyond our comprehension. And this is that wave rising up to sweep us off our feet and out of our minds and into our hearts, where we are the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven. And we're here to embody that. And these beloved portals are here to help. Blessed be, blessed be, blessed be. Following the lunar eclipse in Gemini, on December 14th, we have a total solar eclipse in Sagittarius. So moving from Gemini to Sagittarius, two different energies opposing, informing, and teaching one another at the same time. So that's a part of the evolution that we're moving through. The lessons that Gemini teaches us around the 30th are going to be potently shifting for us. We're going to move into a new octave with those lessons, with our understanding, and with our healing on December 14th for the Sagittarius Total Solar Eclipse. And one thing that's so important and potent about this solar eclipse is that it's actually in alignment with the galactic center. And this is opening up for us the transmission of new codes that are coming in. And what I have been seeing is the black womb light of no thing, the birthplace of all creation, will be channeling through this solar eclipse into our beings. And so the task is for us to clear and release as much as we can that no longer serves us, to let it go, to become empty in order to be filled. New codes that are coming in, these new energies, These are getting us in alignment with the future collective that we are becoming. And these codes that are coming in, it's allowing us to step into that frequency. It already exists in that frequency. Time and is illusion, right? So the past, the future, the present are all happening now. So this future now is now, and we can connect into its frequency. And then by embodying that frequency here in this present, we are pulling that future now present here to this present all the more quickly. It's like an entrainment of these frequencies and these particles across time. And we're bringing that reality to us by being that reality now. I mean, it makes sense, right? So clearing out, releasing, so we can embody the truth of who we are. We can embody our rainbow light body, our plasma body, our higher self, our Sophia dragon, the ultimate truth of our seraphim angel being, of a form of consciousness within this dream. What fun. So be here for the ride. Be ready to rise up with this potent energy, because by the time we get to the solstice, blessed be, Jupiter and Saturn are going to be in conjunct, going into Aquarius together that day. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this energy, you all. Your girl's an Aquarius sun, so you know I love some Aquarius energy, and I'm feeling really excited for it for all of us, because this is big energy. This is like a different kind of shift into the Aquarian age. And this is the last time Jupiter and Saturn are going to have this kind of conversation with each other for a while. So this is a really important parting. This is the energies of master completion. This is the energies of master completion. We are going to have such a tremendous shift happening for the collective here. This is the opening up of the revolution in a new way that we haven't seen. And it's all being founded on these steps that we're walking through right now with the eclipses that precede this 1221 portal of the galactic center, alignment with the womb of no thing, being filled with your true self, and then revolution. That's the true revolution. Any revolution that is not grounded in this truth of who we are is not the revolution that will get us home. And that's ultimately where we all desire to be. And that is the place of being that will manifest the divine reality of heaven on earth that reflects that beautiful truth embodied. So it's a really potent and powerful, important time in eclipse season. Really exciting energy, a lot of dynamic energy. We're going to feel a lot of lows, we're going to feel a lot of highs, and that's all a part of it. Staying aligned to faith and trust is key to moving through it. If you want to know more about the astrology of this eclipse, I highly recommend these beautiful people here, all wonderful astrologers. They have great videos that you can look up on YouTube and tune in more to those details for yourself. Okay, let's get to our reading. I'm using 3 decks today. We have the Next World Tarot by Christy C. Rode, a tarot deck for the revolution. Love this deck, amazing. Check her out on her Instagram. Sacred Rebels Oracle by Elena Fairchild, fantastic as well. And we have the Vision Quest Tarot by Guy and Sylvie Winter and Joe Dose. These fantastic decks have formed for us a powerful and fantastic reading, and it looks like this. So as you can see, the cards today wanted to be on a tapestry of mine, this headscarf. It has this beautiful Buddha on it, and it says Om Shanti all over it as well. So a lot of divine purple, Buddhahood, peace, peace, peace energy coming through as the backdrop for this reading. The ways that the cards came together really, to me, has this interesting mapping on the shape of the Buddha. What's interesting is these cards found the shape before the Buddha found underneath, and then it just was. These cards almost have a look of this body, this being, this energy of our higher self, of our true self. This is that form, and this is the form of it descending and coming into physical form in our physical bodies. And this is a collective shift that's happening, and of course this body being backdropped to the Buddha really is just amplifying that. This is a spread of resurrection, of resurrecting our true self, and this is depicting a process of how we are doing that. I want to just kind of orient you to this Buddha being that we have here as our resurrected self. So we have the root and the feet, and this is really our ground. This is what is grounding us as we root down and rise into this continuing uprising wave of love. We're becoming one with the love of this wave. We're recognizing we're not just these small waves on this tsunami. We are the tsunami. So this is our grounding points for that. Next, we have our core here. This is our center of power, and this is the card of what you want wants you. And out from the core, we have our two wings. And these are the wings that we are rising with, that we are here to soar with, and really telling us important aspects of what that is, what will lift us, what will support us. Then we have what you could see as the head of our being. So this is like the crown of our being, but it's the heart of the Buddha. And this card is flanked by two others, and these are like what we are carrying on our shoulders. That could be a part of the energy of how it feels, because there's a responsibility with these cards. But when you look at the Buddha, you can see that these cards are more like in the strength of the arms. So kind of acknowledging a duality of consciousness and presence that we have as we are both embodied and still human, gonna still be human all the time. This whole thing is still us being human, and also being and reconnecting with that descending Buddhahood of our true divine nature. So as we go into our reading of our Buddha self descending into matter, into this earthen reality and existence, let's first take a quick peek at the core. This core is a centering point, a focal point that we can continue to come back to time and time again. And this core that is our faith and our trust is the knowing that what we want wants us. This is the calling to our true heart's desire, our soul purpose, swathed in pleasure, and embracing and loving that, living that. Again, this frequency of light, of fun, of joy. Joy is the revolution. So through our remembered knowing that what we seek, what is rising in us, what desires of our heart, that's the true path for us. That is calling us for a reason. Even if we only know parts of it, we don't know all the pieces, follow those pieces. What you want wants you, because what you want is in alignment with your highest self, with your highest and greatest good, and with the highest and greatest good for us all. And to live in heaven on earth together is for us to be in our joy, living our own authentic truths, living in our skills and our soul's purpose and desires. So for you to continue to follow that and cultivate that, that's a refocal point that really connects all of this reading as a point of trust and faith. So from the core, let us move back down into the root, okay? This is really the place where we begin. It's good to look to the core and know, but let's get grounded in reality here at the root. And that is the Two of Pentacles. And in the Next World Tarot, that also stands for a point of intersection. And this card is beautiful. I love all of the art in this deck so much. These two images here, we have the feminine, the goddess, the empress, the Queen, this divine feminine principle and energy here intersecting and meeting with this masculine energy, this divine masculine, the worker, the embodied way of action and doing and working within the physical world, this divine masculine principle. Now these two are intersecting, and this card is really pointing out to us both the truth that there are these different parts of us and different parts of things. Yes, this is a duality reality, and it's encouraging us to see how these are meant to work together, both within ourselves and within relationships with others. We're always relating to each other's on multiple spectrums of dualities, honing in on these core dualities of this yin and yang, of feminine and masculine, of these two principles within us, will allow us to cultivate more of this union within. Inner union is the way of peace. It is the way of freedom. It is the way of liberty and justice, and it is the way of this revolution. And this card is really rooting us into that. We're coming to a choice point. That's a part of the message of this card as well. There's a choice to make. This is a crossroads. This is an intersection. This is a meeting. Choose sovereignty. Now for our 2 feet, we have the left foot, which is the 4 of fire. Ding, 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 completion. Okay, right? Beautiful energies. The right foot is the daughter of fire, and this is the card of self-actualization. Yes! Okay, so completion, self-actualization, grounding ourselves with this truth of the root of the inner union within that we are establishing and will continue to establish. As we continue to do that, we are completing. We are self-actualizing. We're able to move forward and walk true. So let's look a little bit more at the left foot of fire. Completion, okay? This is change. This is successful conclusion as much it is a positive new beginning. Like, I feel, there's gonna still be work to do here, okay? But there's so much room for celebration, and we're just at the feet. We're just at the feet of our descending consciousness here, okay? But this is where it begins. And so to begin with knowing that we are closing out what it is time to close out. You already know what that is for you. And so now it is about following through with it, as simple as taking those steps. It's really about consciously going through the situation all the way. Whatever it is that you know is time to close out for yourself, time to complete. What are the ways of wounding and not believing in your self-worth? What are these patterns and programs, and how are they ready to complete? And for you to follow through with it. Choose the higher road. Choose your self-growth. Don't choose the comfort of an old and confining past. And then our right foot, self-actualization, okay? Innocence renewed. This is love, courage, faith, hope, trust. This is that alignment with our truest path, with the core fractal spiral, pulling us forward towards the embodiment of our highest destiny. And the call to really being able to embody this Buddhahood, this truth of who we are, is about being able to be in everyday life and holding that awareness of the oneness that we are at the same time. The more we can hold that and anchor it, that is truly bringing the reality in here, into the now. That is being the reality in the now. You are vibrating with your own power now. That's a message of this card. You are vibrating with your own power now. And interestingly, about these 2 feet of ours, they both, of course, are fire, right? Different energies of fire, but fire nonetheless. And they also both show images of sacred fire in use with herbs for the purpose of smudging with the left foot, okay? Clearing, letting go, stagnant energy, goodbye. And then with an offering on the right foot, raising up prayers to heaven, both, the smoke is rising. There is an ascension here. So this grounding is hot. You know, this plasma body coming in is hot, right? So our feet are on fire as we ground into the truth of who we are. And the vapors that are rising is the vibration of love that we are emanating and uplifting into the collective, into our shared reality. Keeping ourselves really grounded in the knowing of inner union is the key to us embodying our true self, that we are already here for it, we are already doing it. The energies are moving in completion, we have success, we have new beginning, and it's a new happening all of the time, right? This isn't just 2 steps, this is many steps forward. This is a path we're going to continue to take as we continue this self-actualization and rising with our new levels attained all the time. And so back to the core, right? What you want wants you. As we have our feet in the fire of truth and we continue to take our mindful, intentional steps forward into embodied unity consciousness, we know all the more the truth that what I want wants me too. What you want wants you too. What we want wants us too. Okay? Trust and faith. Trust and faith. And what helps our trust and faith to expand are our wings. The left wing is the left hand path. You could think of this as the path that the feminine energy within us is bringing us through and to. And this is 2 cards that make up this path. The 9 of air, hurt. Moving into the 10 of cups, safety. So much of that is already right there, and even just the brief titles of what these cards hold. This deep work that we have been doing and that we continue to do, the ways we are meeting these wounded children inside of us and loving them back into safety. And that work is beautiful, and there is another level to it. There is a next step, and that is with the transmutation of the hurt that continues to bind us. This is really key when we're talking about letting go of the old and the old frequency, the old stories, the old attachments to identity. When we are letting these go, it is in relation to this hurt. One way that we continue to attach to the hurt that has happened to us is through the feeling of anger, which is one of the things that this card speaks to. Now, anger is righteous and holy, and it has its place, and it's an important energy for getting us to take action, to stand our ground, to create our boundaries and get our needs met. It can be really alchemized into courageous action, forward movement towards the highest good. But it's also true that anger can really fester inside us. It was Buddha who said that holding on to anger is like holding on to a handful of hot coals. You have the intention of throwing at someone else, but you just can never let go. And it's that energy here that this card is speaking to. The ways that we burn ourselves by holding on to anger and hate and fear, asking us to step into not what is comfortable. Forgiveness is not always comfortable, but to step into what is our highest growth. And forgiveness is key here. There's so much atrocities and intergenerational trauma and individual trauma and community, cultural, spiritual trauma that exists on this earth and has for a very long time. And we all have our piece of it. And there is much to step into in integrity with for so many of us in so many ways. But there's also the need for forgiveness. We all have our own path with walking what that is for us. But this portal that is opening here through these eclipses is here to help us in a very powerful way to release the burden of hate and anger, to forgive so that we may redeem ourselves, that we may redeem our soul, so that it doesn't have to be tied up in these energies of hate and anger, resentment and bitterness anymore. This is a freeing of ourselves from the chains of those frequencies. And it can only happen through this genuine forgiveness. Again, different levels, different layers, different ways, different times. And so wherever you're at on your own path with forgiveness, and whatever this is bringing up for you is probably where you're called to look at this and see if forgiveness could be a part of it. I welcome you an invitation into opening up to forgiveness, because the more that you can do that, the more you will be able to transmute this hurt, this old wounding, this old paradigm, this old frequency into safety, into the 10 of Cups, into that full expression and experience of family. This is family, this is community, heart-centered and deep, okay? This is the opportunity for us to rise together through love, even when things and times are hard. The image on this card is of a mother and a child and the rooftop view of a community. This card represents two BIPOC women and a BIPOC community that are hit heavy with the difficulties of systematic racism, yet in this card surrounded by their community, surrounded in their love. There is victoriousness. There is such a deeper appreciation of the love that they have because of where they have been. The more that we do our inner work to help ourselves to heal this hurt and pain through compassion and forgiveness, starting with ourselves first and foremost, and freeing ourselves from the chains of anger and hate that bind us, we are going to be able to really resurrect a higher truth and a higher perspective of what our stories of suffering actually mean. We're going to be able to meet with our chosen families all the more deeply, the more we are able then to show up in relationship, because we are doing this deep inner work that helps us to be more open to love, to be more expressive of love, to be more held in a container of honoring our own energy and others, respecting boundaries. And we're going to rewrite our stories. Your story of suffering can mean something new. And this is an opportunity to do that. The more that we are engaging in that kind of transmutation, this left-hand path of the feminine, while we move through this eclipse season, this is a part of what's going to lift us up to soar. So now let's move back through the core, through this remembering of faith and trust that our heart's desires and soul purpose are coming to us, being made manifest through all that we are doing, all the frequency we are connecting to and vibrating with and embodying. We move into our right wing, our right-hand path of what is rising us up to our highest and greatest future. And this begins with the small medicine wheel, aka the Wheel of Fortune. And this card is speaking to us about new beginnings. Okay, there's some kind of new beginning here in the physical, right, in the masculine, that we need to take action for and embody to move with the energies of this new beginning. And the more that we can embrace this shift and this change, this opportunity, this calling, again, this is connected to the core of our soul's desire and heart's purpose made manifest. That's on its way. And so as we take these steps of what you know you need to do right now for yourself to be living more of your purpose, living more authentically in your truth, take those steps. This is an exciting time to push forward with what is in alignment with this higher frequency. No pushing for the other things, pushing in the new direction, the new beginning. This might be part of the challenge as well here, because we're letting go of fears, we're letting go of anger and hate, we're letting go of things that have clouded our vision. We're letting go of these old beliefs and unworthiness. And so there can be an edge point, there can be an edge point, a scary point that we have to cross through, a threshold, as we release those fears and open up into what really calls us to joy and embodiment and living our highest and greatest truth. So do your work. Whatever it is for you to do right now, what is in alignment with your soul, you're going to be successful. Put in the work, put in the time. The energies are here for it. Take action. And the small medicine wheel takes us into completion. Again, strong completion energies throughout this whole eclipse season. There's going to be a lot of it, waves of it, different parts of it, different levels of it. Keep going. And that's a message of this. You know, we have these new beginnings that are coming from a grounding of the completion that we've already done as we take action on these new beginnings, moving into a completion, okay, that's really going to come to fruition following the solstice and the conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius. And this completion is, we've created that foundation. There is a very important core foundation that you are building right now. Do it. Keep doing it. As you do it, you are going to get to this beautiful place where you have this foundation to support you. You have this strength of this physical wing to flap through the air, to take you to new heights and new places. And it's time for you to allow yourself to have this strength and support that you have always been needing from the masculine. Arise and arouse this part of yourself within you so that you can be both the healing wing of emotion and love as you forgive and have compassion for all the wounded parts of you, and also moving into having the steady foundation and physical prowess and career life path alignment of your masculine. And so these wings of the feminine, of our path of emotional healing and of reclaiming our sweet sovereignty through forgiveness and compassion is paired with the wing of our masculine, the wing of being grounded in the physical, of taking care of our needs, of taking inspired, courageous action in alignment with our truest desire of our heart. May both these paths of healing and of stepping into the world, of stepping into truth, be anchored into this core, this faith, this remembering that what we want wants us to, grounded into the embodiment and work of creating inner union, having these two wings work together, because it is only with them working together that we will continue to take the step forward that we need to take and to soar into our greatest destiny. Okay, time to move up out of the core and into our heart crown, our Buddha's heart within our crown, okay? What a beautiful place to be this is. And the cards that we have here are also really powerful. We're going to start with our two pillars of support and building around it. And then we'll talk more about this divine crowning that we are going to be having. So on our left shoulder, or in our left strength, we have the card of revolution. All that Aquarius energy, folks. It's time. It's time. And this revolution stands literally on the shoulders of all of this emotional work that we have been doing, letting go of old patterns and beliefs that do not serve us, of healing our hearts with compassion, forgiveness, of redefining and rewriting what safety is, and choosing and co-creating safe and healing relationships with people we love. This is the basis for this revolution that is rising. And this card is so powerful. This is my favorite card in the Next World Tarot, and speaks to so much of what it is that is dying and what it is that is rising. You know, there's oil and capitalism in the back, this old paradigm of greed and draining of the earth and of the people, and especially of indigenous people. And then in the front, we see the answer, you know, the feminine embodiment and wisdom, the matriarchal wisdom of the indigenous, here with the grandmother, the elder, the ancestor, and with the child, the new beginning, the uprising indigenous youth that are here to truly lead the way and show us how to rewalk those steps of embodying a life is sacred, defending the sacred. We are here to defend the sacred. And it is time for us to really move into a different level of this revolution, grounded again in this inner union, in this work that we've been doing around letting go, in this completion process that we're moving through, and the continued healing and freeing of our own hearts and our own sacred energy through forgiveness and compassion, through creating new families, new communities, new cultures together. This is what the revolution is rising out of. And this is an important task for us, especially in the coming new year. Once Jupiter and Saturn have this conjunction on the solstice, we are moving into a new Saturn cycle in Aquarius. We're moving into a new Jupiter cycle in Aquarius. And there's going to be a lot of potent, powerful energies. There's going to be a lot of things changing and shifting for the collective in big ways, and big themes around power and control and equality and right relationship are going to come up in many ways. And this is a call for us to align with our integrity, to align with the action of truth and of justice. I want to share some of the words that Christy C. Rode wrote for this card. Revolution is the urgent call for truth. It is the manifestation of our truth. Yet it is also the destruction of a shattered foundation. Revolution is the loss of a comforting vice, but the birth of a healed soul. Revolution is the redistribution of power that serves yourself and the whole world. And this is happening on all levels. In our relationship to self, truly honoring ourselves by choosing what is the highest good for us, and doing that in relationship, and then how we show up in community, how we show up in the public stage. There are going to be lines drawn in the sand that are in alignment with the law of one, the law of truth, that we are one. Those are the lines in the sand we must draw, and we must take the action with them in alignment with truth. And resting upon the shoulder of all of the work that we have been doing and will be doing with our masculine energy is the card of judgment, the revelation, okay? Or as Christy C. Rhodes says, judgment is the time when justice prevails. This is really a card of showing us that we can come together in our right judgment, and we can speak our truth, we can create the change, we can create justice. Directly from Christy C. Rode. Judgment is discerning right from wrong in a world where right is defined by understanding violent history and educating youth on the structure behind systematic racism. Judgment is when humanity asks one another who follows through on the lessons we should have already learned. It is when the people coalesce towards peace while simultaneously retaliating against the systems of oppression and white supremacy. Equality is vital to peace. Further elevating survivors of systematic hate and violence is vital to justice. Here's where a lot of action is required, right? And this is on the right-hand side. This is the side of the physical. This is the side of action in this earth plane. What will you do? How will you stand up for what you know is right and for what you know is true? How will you be a part of bringing forth justice? I love what Christy says about equality being vital to peace, but lifting up and elevating those suppressed by systematic oppression and racism is vital to justice. It is essential that all of us, and most notably those of us in white-skinned bodies like myself, take accountability and take action. How can we help to truly be allies, to truly be comrades, to truly be co-conspirators, to support our BIPOC brothers and sisters and kin, and to support the indigenous movement of the indigenous wisdom, culture, and peoples rising up to lead us back into sovereignty and right relationship with the earth? How can we humble ourselves so that we can know when we have become out of line, that we can hold ourselves accountable to showing up in integrity again As we come through the ending of this powerful season of eclipses and the winter solstice, that we will have a lot more clarity, because things are going to be shaken up in the collective. This total eclipse runs through South America, and there have already been so much turmoil and uprisings and revolutionary protesting energies and corruption in the government, and now the eclipse is a total eclipse going across South America. This is also the rainforest Amazon heart center of the world. This is an important place, and there has been tremendous devastation of the forests and of the indigenous peoples there that is killing the earth. So having the eclipse going across this important continent is really going to be bringing forth a lot for us, and I feel we're going to have a lot of opportunity to really show up and help the indigenous. There's many ways and many opportunities for us to be true allies to the earth and to be a part of this indigenous uprising movement as humble students and supporters of this, as we continue to alchemize and align from within. And that takes us back to our heart crown. So this is a really key message, and this is really a culminating message, right? If we have our plasma body descending feet first into the world and then filling us up, the crown here is, this is the coronation, right? This is a gift of what we are moving through, what we are transmuting, all the ways we're stepping into integrity and aligning with soul's truth. The message is really pretty simple. Relax the hold of darkness and be at cause. This is where we are shifting timelines, moving into a higher voltage reality. This is an opportunity for us to align with Gaia Sophia and her rising frequency. Not only are we having our plasma light bodies descend into our physical form, but we are opening up and we are receiving the emanating plasma light body of Gaia Sophia, with these coalescing and connecting and unifying within our own sacred vessels. We are then anchoring in and choosing to ride on that upsurging, rising wave of love with Mama Gaia herself. This is a card letting us know that as we are letting go of our attachments to these lower frequencies, to the old timelines, to old wounded identities, we are making room for big shifts, big changes. And these can come in kind of two different ways. They can be like, bam, raw, awakening, shift suddenly. And it is also a natural process of evolution. So it's likely that you're going to have different ones of these coming up, okay? There's going to be some things that seem to be moving in a more just slow pace, or not necessarily super fast pace, but that are evolving over time in the natural perfect flow of perfect timing. And then there are going to be moments where just things shatter, things are raw, open, awakening, new shift of consciousness, new perspectives, things will change. Expecting a lot of this to be happening, like what you can see with the image on this card, this like, ultimate pillar of light, but I don't see this just coming down, but rather going up as well. Co-spiraling that's happening, moving up and down with this pillar of light as we are connecting to the galactic center and having the womb black light of no thing coming into our form, and having our light body descend, and having the uprising wave of Gaia Sophia's black light womb of no thing rising up through her plasma body. So we are descending and ascending together, and this is where we really need to be anchored and grounded, connected to the earth physically, relationally, emotionally, spiritually. Spend time with the earth. Get your feet on the earth. If you live somewhere cold, do what you can about that. Spend some time bundled up outside, but we need to be connecting to the earth, grounding ourselves. It's an essential part of receiving both her rising energy, releasing the parts of ourselves that are not in alignment with that energy, that block us off from having it and fully receiving it and absorbing it. And we need to be able to anchor in these energies that are coming down from the galactic center from our truest source, from our Buddha's heart, from our Buddhahood heart. So it's essential to ground these into the earth. This is a part of anchoring in the frequencies. It's both and, above and below, within and without. It's all of it. And this is a really amazing time for us to embody that. So as you look at the totality of our Buddhahood solstice eclipse season reading, you know, there is this big shift that's happening. But it's not really news to you, is it? Because you're already here, you're already a part of it, you're already doing it and living this and experiencing this. So much of this is a confirmation of completion of energies that we have already transmuted, and an invitation to go farther, to go deeper, to excavate more, to release more so that we can embody more. This is the rising up through the earth, through the plasma fire of our bodies, touching down into the earth, receiving, circulating, cultivating, anchoring, embodying, taking flight, and realizing the truth of who we are in an embodied, lived, everyday sense in relationship and community to each other. This is the revolution of love. This is the uprising wave of love, sweeping us clean and taking us to our highest destiny. This is the beginning of a new paradigm in a whole new way. And it's going to require a lot of love, a lot of joy, and a lot of grief, a lot of truth, a lot of authenticity, a lot of respect and humility, and owning our power and our sovereignty, and being of love in all ways and all things. This is the time to surrender our attachments to the ways of the past and anchor in the frequency of the future collective. The future collective is vibrant and thriving as we live together in respect and mutuality. Respect for the earth, respect for our own sacred hearts, respect for the self, respect for the other, respect for relationship, and respect for all of existence. As we reclaim sacred union within, we build a world that reflects that union and union with one another. Gotta do it from the inside out. That's the only way through. Thank you so much for tuning in with me today for this collective energy reading. I am always honored and overjoyed to have these channelings come through. It brings me so much, and I hope and pray that it brings you so much too. And intuitive card spreads are not something I only do for collective readings, but something I do individually as well. And I have a whole array of different kinds of intuitive readings, including intuitive card spreads like this, all listed on my website. And I encourage you to check out my services there at www.aliciasunflower.com/services. And you can find yourself some soul medicine there. I have a lot of lovely new offerings on there, including soul heart signatures. Check out my intro video to learn more about that. It's on my YouTube. Follow me on Instagram at the Alicia Sunflower. Like this video, subscribe to more videos, share it with your friends. Let's get the medicine out. And I hope and pray that as you move through this eclipse season and this solstice, moving into this brand new year and this new beginning in many ways, that you do so with much love and care and tenderness for your own being, and reverence and gratitude for the infinite being of love that you are. So I send you my love and I send you my light. Know that in truth, in all ways, in all things,